Welcome to another episode of the Uncensored Truth Podcast. I'm your brother, old guy from Hip Hop News Uncensored. And we got a special guest today, but before we introduce him, sitting across from me as always is my co-host.
What it do? What's good? It's your brother SamAnt, Battle Hip Hop News. We're in the building for a very special episode, like old guy said, of the Uncensored Truth Podcast. Shout out to everyone watching and listening on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're watching or listening. We got a special treat for you today.
Yeah.
Like old guy said, our brother, CEO of Hip Hop Motivation, author of the book Culture Vultures, co-author with Dame Dash, Think and Ball Out, Secret to Ballin CEO, none other than our brother Kenyatta Griggs. It's good to have you on, man. Brother, what's good with you, man?
Peace, man. Everything's good, man. How y'all?
Beautiful, beautiful, man. You know, just humble, you know, to be in the building, and we appreciate the opportunity, man, to take time out to come onto the, you know, the platform. Definitely.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to, you know, shift gears and ask you, you know, about, you know, some of your ventures. Mm-hmm. In particular, I want to shift to the Culture Vulture book. Right. And I want to ask you, can you just take us through first and foremost, you know, what motivated you? Because, you know, you and Dame Dash co-authored the book, but what motivated you two guys to come together and actually put that artwork out there for the people?
Well, for the actual idea for the book, it started off when I did Think and Ball Out, and I interviewed him for a piece called The Secret to Ballin' that's connected to Think and Ball Out, the audio book. Mm-hmm. And I always told him, I was like, yo, man, when you finally sit still, I would love to like write a book on you, you know, based around some of the things I hear you talking about with some of your guys here, because Dame is a very giving person when it comes to information and knowledge. He's never, if you ask him a question, if you're close to him or you're in his proximity and you ask him something about business or what he thinks about something, he's very open and giving that information up, which is a good thing. And that's also the premise to write a great book. So what I did was he moved out here and I just, you know, I got back with him again. And I said, yo, man, it's time to get this book going. So we started filming those hip hop motivation videos you see. And initially I wasn't going to put the videos out. They weren't meant to be seen. Those were only like sound bites that I was collecting to fill the book up. I wasn't going to use everything, but it was just sound bites that I was going to use to fill the book up. And that's what we did. But we started putting them up and they became very popular. And so from there, as we're putting the videos up, I continue to write the book and figure out what chapters I'm going to use and all this different stuff. And that's how everything came about. And the artwork on the cover of the book, his lady, Lyor Cohen, she drew this picture of a vulture. And Dame was always saying something about Culture Vulture. He kept saying Culture Vulture, Culture Vulture. Mm-hmm. And we decided to name the book Culture Vultures because originally it was called Reasonable Clout. And my idea was to have him on the cover of the book, you know, kind of dressed like Jay-Z was for the cover of Reasonable Doubt, you know, but it would be Dame Dash on the cover of the book called Reasonable Clout. And that just became a section within the book, as you saw the first section. And we just kept moving, man. But it was a blessing that he even gave me the opportunity to write that book, man. And I told him before, but, you know, again, I appreciate him just sitting with me and allowing me to put that together because now I'm an author, you know, where right. Before I wasn't an author completely because Think and Ball Out's an audio book. And the only reason I didn't do a book, a physical copy, because I didn't know how to do it. But now I know how to do it. So,
but I want you to explain that before we get into the Culture Vulture book. I want you to explain, because I heard you speaking about this also. You were speaking about some trial and errors that you and Dame had trying to put the book out. Like you were trying to go through a few different people, you know, some things weren't working right. So you had to just say, you know what, we're going to do this thing on our own. Take us to that journey.
Well, it was in the beginning after I got like a lot of the chapters together, the first obstacle we had to go through, I had to go through, was getting the right editor, somebody that really could keep the lingo and the ebonics clear without making it sound so suspect. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like too polished. You know, I wanted the book to have a rawness to it. And so what I had to do, I had to be close with the people that edit the book. But initially right off, Dame had kind of had a disagreement with the initial editor. And then she called me and said she didn't want to work for him or whatever. So I had to find somebody else. So I continued to write, you know, it was one of those. And then we got with somebody else. And he was pretty cool, you know, no name shouting, but he was pretty cool. And then we got with someone else, some real people that really knew what they were doing. A girl named Tyra, who is connected to Dr. Boyce Watkins. when I connected Dame and Dr. Boyce together, and she came on the team and she did the editing for the book, as well as a guy who did the graphic artwork for the book, Michael, this guy named Michael. And I mean, shoot, man, and then after that, once we got the book together, I know what you're talking about. After we got the book together, we were with my homeboy, Paul Stewart, great guy, love Paul Stewart, but him and Dame didn't hit it off well at a certain point within the union. And he had a book company. Paul Stewart has a book company. But Paul Stewart is the guy who put the Far Side in the game, Coolio, and all those guys back in the day. And so Paul and Dame had a little situation, and so he backed up and sort of, you know, Dame calls it, you know, leaving us hanging. But I looked at it as it just was time for us, for me as an author and as a CEO of Hip Hop Motivation, to go into my research stage and understand on figure out how to put this book out. And that's what I did. So with the information that we were trying to get from Paul, we didn't get, but it was a great opportunity for me to step up and do the research I need to do to be able to put other books out beyond Culture Vultures. And that's what we have, you know, and that's what we're doing right now.
Word. You know, when I was reading the book and as I'm going through the book, I asked myself a question numerous times. It was like, wow, why did they name the book Culture Vulture in particular? Because as you were doing promotion for the book and as Dane was doing promotion for the book, obviously Culture Vulture was a term that he used for your Lyor Cohens of the world and for people outside of our culture, vulturing the culture. I mean, let's call it for what it is. And a lot of people that I asked if they read the book or bought the book, they were a lot of haters. No, we're not going to buy a book on Dame Dash complaining about blah, 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 blah. So when I read the book, I thought it was going to be Dame going all the way in on this person, that person, blah, 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 blah. And I read it and I'm like, man, this is a self-help book. This is motivation. This is on a whole different realm. So was that kind of like you guys plan, or how did that work out? It
was my plan. You know, being the author, you know, we recorded Dame as well as we putting up the videos on Dame speaking about his agenda within business. But I took everything and I just packaged it up to be a self-help project. I didn't really want to get too much because there's so much information, so much dialogue that we had where he was actually really going in on some people. But I didn't feel like that's not what the culture needs. What the culture needs is information that can help them go beyond any obstacle that stands in front of them. So I turned his situation with Lyor Cohen, Tom Moscovich, whoever he talks about, everybody that he talks about in the book, as a form of an obstacle that all of us will be faced with at one time or another, you know, going through the darkness into the light. And so I personally love self-help books. So it had to be a self-help book for me to even write it.
Yeah, and I love the gems. Like after every chapter you wrote like the most important parts. That was so dope. And one of the parts you talked about partnerships. And Oh God and I have been talking about this so many times within the last couple of weeks as far as bad partnerships. What are good partnerships? We've been dropping them on our various platforms on YouTube. And you talked about how you had so many bad partnerships early on that it kind of put you in a place where you couldn't trust people. Talk about that process with partnerships and where you're at now with it, and the goods and bads with partnerships, because it's so important out here, especially in business. Yeah.
Well, what happened was, you know, I had a few people that were, you know, they were placing their bet on whatever we came together to do. But as soon as we hit hard times, they would pull the bet from the table. And, you know, which is understandable, because a lot of people don't want to, you know, people are afraid to go through the shit. You know, they're afraid to go through the dark times. But for me, I understand that anything that goes through a building stage has to go through the darkness. You have to go through the building stage. You have to go through, like, as Dame says, being broke. You have to go through flipping your money and until you get your money back. You have to go through these things. And, you know, it was a lot of situations where I just could not, I couldn't stomach even doing business with someone, and they didn't even understand that philosophy. So, you know, right now where I'm at as far as business, you know, I'm trusting until someone shows me otherwise. You know, that's what I came to learn. You know, I just trust people until they show me otherwise, you know, and I continue to do what I'm doing. But it's hard to say that you can really trust anyone fully at all, you know, as far as business goes. But then that's also insane, because you do have people that live by the rules of the game. You know, they're not going to cheat. They're not going to steal from you. They're not going to rob you. They're not going to try to stab you in your back. So I just really just stay who I am, and until someone shows me otherwise. That's really the way it goes with me, you know. And it's just like that with the relationship. Like business and relationship are so closely connected. It's like, how do you really trust your girl? You know what I'm saying? When, you know, a lot of men know that a lot of women get a change of heart real fast. You know what I'm saying? You know, so how do you really trust anyone? But the main person I had to learn how to trust was myself. So when I began to trust myself, what someone else did became no consequence to me. It was just like, okay, well, you did that. Okay, I'll just stay over here. You stay over there. It didn't hurt me as much as I thought it would, because I have a trust in myself and that I can actually continue going on in what I need to do. And that's what I continue to do, especially in the barbershop. I had some situations like that. Yeah.
You still got the barbershop up now? My battle got.
What'd you say?
Do you still have the barbershop now?
No, I sold the barbershop when I walked away. I walked away from the barbershop about like 5 years ago, something like that. I walked away from the shop, and I just said it was like an effort situation, and I said I'm gonna go full blast into what I'm doing. I still cut. I cut private though. I have a private salon that I cut hair at myself and my lady, and it's been beautiful because I only cut 2 days a week, by the way. And I have more time to really work on projects and do what I need to do. And so that's how we were able to do The Secret to Ballin behind me thing. You know, I'm working on Thinking Ball Out the book right now. So, and it's just clearing my day to put forth effort into the business of hip hop motivation.
Definitely. Before I ask you a question on hip hop motivation, I want to ask you the motivation behind hip hop motivation. I want to ask you this question about the Culture Vultures book real quick. Did you guys receive any backlash, or are you receiving any backlash from anybody? Because we've seen Lyor Cohen, who pretty much went on Dame Dash on the Breakfast Club, made statements, tried to disrespect him pretty much. Right. And but he also showed his hand at the same time. We did some commentary on that. So what would you say about that? Could you expound on that a little bit?
Well, everything, it just made the book more valid. Dame and I had a conversation about it as soon as that happened. He just made the book more valid, man. Like everything in that book is straight up. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no lies. There ain't no fabrication. There ain't no extras put on it. Everything Dame said was really how it went. Now, from his perspective, now Lyor Cohen obviously will have his perspective like all of us do. And, but he exposed himself as being a culture vulture live on the Breakfast Club, which was a beautiful thing because he also made the book sales go up.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it turns into, okay, now, so what Dame is saying must be true because here he is. He couldn't even catch himself because, a vulture, they're always going to expose themselves eventually anyway. The same thing that you just asked me about business and trust. Someone will always expose themselves regardless of what you say. It's just like what our elders used to tell us. What's done in the dark will always come to light. Always. There's no escaping it. And so that's what Lyor Cohen did on the Breakfast Club. And I thought it was beautiful. I was laughing. I was like, oh, my God. And when I talked to Dame, he was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Immediately the books took off. Even more.
I bet. Now, I want to also ask you, about the Culture Vulture, this aspect of the book, the backlash. Are you receiving any backlash? I don't think you answered that part of the question from anybody now that the book is out, even though like anybody, they try to stop it. Are they trying to stop it? Like, could you talk about that aspect?
No, I haven't received. We haven't received any backlash. Every now and then we get somebody on Instagram. Usually it's a white person that's saying something about, well, you saying white people can't be in hip hop, and that's not what we're saying. If you read the book, the book has nothing to do with race in general. But let's keep it real. There's more of them doing sneaky business moves more than any other race of people within the business. So let's keep it real about the situation. It's just like the thing going on with Donald Trump. These people have victimized other races over the years. And so we can't lie and act like we don't see it. That's turning a blind eye to what's in front of you. Then that turns into romanticism. You want to hold hands and kumbaya, but they have shown you that they're going to clip you. They're going to rob you. And so it's not about white, black, Hispanic, whoever wants to be in hip hop. Hip hop is open to all cultures of people as far as race goes. But for some strange reason, as we all know, and as we our elders know from back in the day with different record labels, you know, these other people have taken advantage of people that don't have information and understanding of how business really works. And they prey on the mentally dead, as a vulture preys on what? Dead carcass. They prey on the mentally dead. The culture vulture preys on the mentally dead. They take advantage of the mentally weak, mentally dead. But what we did with that book is we packaged up some information, some knowledge, and some understandings that will help people use wisdom when they move around and around these people. Well, they'll have the wisdom of what to look for and what to see, not by the numbers, but just understanding what they're hearing and seeing when they see it. And that's what the Breakfast Club showed you when they interviewed Lyor Cohen. That's a prime example of what we're trying to teach. Pay attention. Listen more than you talk.
Great perspective. Now, you said that vultures like to prey on the mentally dead because they feed on dead carcasses. Vlad TV. Now, we seen our man AR Ab get put in a terrible situation out in Philadelphia, looking like he's doing